It's been an interesting end of the year. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I guess interesting is one word for it.
Welcome to our hellhole. Festive edition.
So this video is basically going to be a kind of update docu-series of what we've been going through recently with everything in our lives, the incredible amount of stress that we've been dealing with and not talking about just because it just didn't feel right to talk about it at the time. Now with it kind of like fully coming to fruition and us really seeing the results of everything, seeing where life is taking us now. And it's been very interesting. You may recall the video that we took in the hot tub where we did a hot tub talk. And we were talking about how things were so, beautiful and positive and perfect, and we're so thankful. Not that we're not thankful anymore, it just was really difficult for a while there.
We definitely were very thankful, and I even remember that night and just feeling so blissful and just peaceful about how everything felt at that time. But literally within just a couple of weeks, our entire lives would take an incredible spiral downhill. It was quite a scary roller coaster ride.
Yep. We did not vlog or film anything at the time. We talked here and there while dealing with certain things on certain days where like we really should like vlog this for other people to see. You know, if people are having these same issues, seeing positivity in that. It didn't feel right at the time. We're gonna get into it now. We're gonna fully divulge and be absolutely 100% transparent. That way, just to like really document our lives, we really want to have this be something that we can look back on and remember not to do stupid shit, that we do stupid shit, and to maybe help people out there that are stuck in this situation or see themselves going down this path and to like put up a yield, please stop what you're doing. It's not good. It will end in disaster. And we thankfully did not hit super rock bottom, but
we skimmed the bottom.
It was terrifying. And so we just want to help people not do the same mistakes that we did. So,
and we definitely want to remind our future selves, hi us watching, that no item, no amount of money is worth the pain and the struggle that we've just been through because of the debts we have. A lot of things have changed, and it's really, really important that we remember all the little details, all of the struggle that came along with what we just went through and what we're gonna still go through, and learn from it. Really learn from it, not just one of those diets you try and then you fail and then you try again and then you fail, and like this whole repetition of events over and over and over again, never learning, never changing, never adapting. It stops here. We
need to stop what we're doing.
We literally cannot afford to not learn from these mistakes. We will not be so lucky next time.
Yeah, that's where we're at. We lined out everything that's pretty much happened from the beginning, what really started this whole chain of events and what we've gone through, the things that we really want to touch on and let you guys know and kind of give you guys a glimpse into our situation and what we've been through and
what we've learned.
And so starting with that, why don't you take us off on what first transpired for us?
So, as some of you may recall, a wonderful video that I did. So many of you felt very helped by it, and honestly, it really, really touched my heart that I was able to help some people. But I did a video about quitting my job, and I absolutely stand steadfast in the message that I tried to deliver to everybody in that day that I delivered it. I literally had quit my job. I came home. I was still really jazzed up about it. I made a video about it. And that night I sat down and I did 15 applications because I was absolutely bound and determined to get a job immediately. That's kind of what jump-started all of this. In fact, I even kind of ended up inspiring Erica here to just stop dealing with the BS and really just remember that you are a valuable person, that your time is valuable, and that you should never let any company for any amount of money take that away from you, especially if they're treating you poorly. And I still stand by that. It was very important. I feel very much that the job that I had at that time, based on my health based on what I went through was really literally killing me. And so it was very important for me to leave. I just didn't realize how much more difficult it was going to be to get a job than I thought. I really felt it because I was so motivated and so diligent and did so many applications, resumes, cover letters. I mean, you name it, I did it, you know. I really felt like this isn't going to be a problem. I've never had a problem getting a job in the past, ever.
No.
I have an impeccable resume. I interview extremely well.
Usually you have like one interview and you are given the job. Like that's how it's always been in the past.
It usually does go that way.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to have so many jobs call me and want to do interviews with me that I could really pick and choose what I was going to do, so that way I could make sure that I wasn't going to have a I quit my job video 2 show up. Because I didn't learn from my mistakes the first time. No, I just didn't want that to happen. So I was trying to be picky. If there's anything that I do feel that I made a mistake with, is that I was trying to be too picky about what it was that I was doing. Why don't you take us off with what happened after I did my video?
So after I watched Sebastian's video, and I was already personally dealing with things at my own job, as it were, and I'm going to make a video, so I'm going to add the link here. So if you want to check that out of what I dealt with on dealing with like really stressful, anxiety-ridden situations with your job, workplace, and fellow employees, go ahead and check that out here. I was struggling. I was spiraling. I was so unhappy. I remember coming home and just being so upset to the point of tears. I have this thing happen when I'm in a job that I'm just like having a really hard time, or with situations that I'm really having a hard time with. And I guess this is something that is a symptom of anxiety. I will think about this situation and I literally get sick to my stomach and I feel like I'm going to be sick. It does make me sick. It makes me very sick in the morning thinking about having to go to work. And this is something that happens with anxiety. And I was just dealing with this every single day. I called out from work several times to have mental health days because I just couldn't stand the thought of going to work and dealing with all the crap that I was dealing with. Sebastian, I found out that he decided that he had had enough. The day was just like obnoxious. We talked on the phone. I told him, you know what, just pull the band-aid off, just be done with it and quit. And so he did. He came home, made that video, and I watched it, and I was absolutely inspired. You're absolutely right. Life is too short. And I think we just decided that at that time, that it's, you know what, we're young, we can bounce back. We figured, you know, we're gonna do a bunch of applications, and I basically had the weekend to really think about, like, is Sebastian going to be okay with this? Like, if I do decide to do this? And so we ended up talking about it, and I started kind of looking at places that were hiring nearby, and I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if I didn't have to travel so far for work? That would save us a lot of money in gas. Literally put...
like 14,000, but 14,000 miles in 6 months?
Yeah.
To give you guys kind of an idea, she was traveling at a good commute here, about 30 to 45 minutes in the morning, and then it could span anywhere from 55 to an hour and 45 to almost 2 hours, like on the really bad days, like Friday, bad traffic, bad weather, 2 hours minimum.
And running the air conditioner here in Arizona as well on the freeway, like every day going to work, almost getting in an accident. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I get in an accident? What if I total the car? Like, we only had one vehicle at the time. Well, no, we had just gotten the Jeep, so we had our 2 vehicles. And so we had our brand new car and our brand new Jeep at the time.
Yeah, but for a long time while she worked there at this job, we only had the one vehicle,
car.
And so it had to do all of the travel in this area. So we had to go travel to see family. Mm-hmm. We had to travel for, you know, obviously like grocery purposes. And then she was putting on anywhere from right around 70 miles a day.
Yeah.
At least. And then plus our traffic in town, which is about another 20 miles. We're putting in 90 to 100 miles on our car every single day that we drove
Every single day.
So you can imagine how much that costs in gas, even with a very fuel efficient car. That is expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, we were just burning, and that's a resource, you know, like we're literally burning up the resource of our vehicle by her just traveling to work for 6 months.
And then the other resource that we were really burning through was like my happiness. I was so unhappy. Like not only dealing with the crap that I was dealing with at work, but also just like my time, like not seeing my husband for an hour and a half, you know, like talking on the phone while I was driving home, because that was time wasted with my family. So the the thought of being able to find a job that maybe even hopefully paid more, because as I was looking at jobs, I was like, oh my gosh, they pay more here closer to home, not having to deal with the crap at the job that I was working. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk with Sebastian, see how he feels about it. We talked about it and decided, okay, I'm gonna quit my job, but before I give my 2 weeks notice, because I decided to give 2 weeks notice, I was gonna apply for jobs. I had a situation happen, the last situation that happened, that literally, like, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I said, you know what, F this, I'm done. And I did applications that weekend, and it was a 3-day weekend, so I had all 3 days to really decide, like, am I really gonna quit? And I did that weekend. I decided that Friday I was done. After the 2 weeks, it was like, okay, well, I didn't have any like interviews come in or anything. I had a couple like responses on Indeed.com, because that's where I applied, and there wasn't really anything. And so it was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't get a job in that time. I was really hoping to jump from my one job to the new one. That didn't really happen the way I thought.
And when you put in your notice, you kind of have to keep it. Like there are some situations where an employer might, you know, be lenient on you, but it's generally not a good idea. So when you've literally exhausted all of your options and you've left your 2 weeks notice and you're at the end of those 2 weeks and you don't have a job, like, oh well.
Up until the very last day, like there were just issues. And I was like, I'm so glad that I don't ever have to deal with this anymore. I'm going to literally shake the sand from my sandals and I'm going to move forward and I'm never going to look back. We started like putting out more applications. We really started to enjoy the time with each other. And then I ended up finally getting a job interview. And that was like really, really thankful to me, because I know that like as you, when you get a job interview, you get the job. And that's usually how it is for me too. So I was really like prepared, you know, we do our cover letters, print off our resumes, dress up really nice.
Research the company, like...
all of that stuff. I actually have interviewed people, and so I feel very comfortable in interviews. They don't make me nervous, and so I walk in there, you know, I know my stuff. I felt like I did really well in the interview. And I was expecting a call back, didn't get a call back. And it was like, okay, so... Moving on, they probably selected somebody else. I got a couple other little emails, you know.
I even remember that week, because they said that they were going to call you back and let you know by Friday, and they didn't, and they never do.
Yeah.
I mean, they never do. Even if you do get the job, it's usually still a couple of days, which is obnoxious.
But we didn't have a couple of days. Like,
No,
we started having bills come due, and we're like, well, I guess we're not going to pay them, because I need groceries and I need gas in the car. Because we were still expected to go see family, do these things, still eat food. Like, we still had to live a normal life with all this extra stress. And so it's like, well, I guess we're not going to pay the car payment this month. Like, how far can we push it? Like, I know we can push it to 30 days. And that was really scary. Well, you know, we had a little bit of money, like, left set aside. And so we
had like $300 in savings. That was about it.
Pretty much it. But you still have to live.
It's just not a lot, especially in Phoenix. Like,
no.
Like, our rent, I mean, it sits anywhere, depending on our water bill, anywhere from like $890 to like $1,000. It just really depends. So yep. $300 is like, okay, cool, good for you.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any difference. The cool part is, just a couple of days later, I think it was like on Tuesday or Wednesday of that next week, she finally did get a call, and they were going to offer her the position, and it was more than they were telling her it was going to be. So that was a really good victory for us.
That was really good. And we were
super thankful. I felt super bad at the time, though, because I was like, I'd been doing all these applications, and by the time that she'd been out of a job 1 week, I had done close to 100 applications, and I'm not even exaggerating in that number. It's really ridiculous. There's tons of places to work here, but getting someone to pay attention to you and notice you for one of those jobs is nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, wow, she literally, like, I think you applied to like 5 places.
There weren't many that I really applied to. So I'm an accountant, and I guess it's really big here in Phoenix and Arizona. There are tons of accounting jobs. So when I was actually looking, I was like, oh my gosh, these places are like literally, they're in my city. I don't have to travel out. I was traveling out of the city, which is stupid. I live in the city. Why would I not work in the city? And it just, when we moved here, I didn't really know to network here. I didn't know how it was. Getting a job here is completely different than getting a job in Idaho. And I think you were still in that mindset too of like, this is how I get a job. But not here. That's not how you get a job here. And so it's really different. So I was very lucky. I was very fortunate to find the job that I did. I was very unsure because I felt so out of my comfort zone with it, but I needed a job, and it was around the same price of what I was getting with my other job. It was closer to home, literally within 5-10 minutes. So we're gonna save so much money in gas, and so we literally calculated out
your time.
My time. And the gas.
If we paid her for her time, the amount she'd be making at the other job was like barely minimum wage, plus the gas that she was spending. So
yeah,
this job was actually a pay increase, even though the actual dollar amount's slightly lower, barely lower. But I don't know. For us, it was a huge win. Huge win. We felt so good that day when I finally got that call, and it was like, well, we'd like to offer you the job, and it was like, oh my gosh, like yes. I think I took you to Olive Garden didn't I?
No, we didn't have the money. I literally get my job, and I'm gonna start it that Friday.
Which is awesome.
I was
no
like,
places ever let you start that fast, but they did.
Yeah, but it's always 2 weeks out. It's always 2 weeks out for pay.
So that meant those bills had to go a
little bit
farther.
longer.
And unfortunately, in our family, I wish that we had the luxury of only one of us needing to work, but unfortunately we both have to work full-time jobs in order to pay for all of the wonderful debt that we have accrued through life. And honestly, even without the debt, I think it would be difficult to survive completely on just one person's income.
Yeah.
It would be a little uncomfortable, I think, at most. But yeah, so that's kind of where we were. So we thought, light at the end of the tunnel, we're almost there. Surely I'll get a job right away. It's only been, at that point, it had only been like 2 or 3 weeks since I had quit my job.
But that meant the world to us.
All of these applications and no bites, nothing. I felt like a fisherman in a lake without fish.
We started second guessing everything.
I did.
Oh
I started really doubting myself. I was like, wow, I guess I just don't have any skills whatsoever. I guess McDonald's it is. And honestly, I should have just gone and got a job at McDonald's. But unfortunately, sometimes your pride gets the best of you. And I just felt like a total, I even considered going back to my old job because they had actually called me up and asked me to come back.
I was like, don't you dare go back there.
There were so many times that I was like, I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to go back because I was just so scared. But you kept me strong. You kept me from selling myself out just because I was so uncomfortable. And I think that taught us a lot. Just the whole, sometimes you got to stand on a very uncomfortable position and it just is what it is, and you gotta hold that ground, and no matter what,
you made that choice,
right, wrong, or indifferent, you make that choice and you stand on it. You stand by what you do. You say what you mean what you say. And I think that was such a valuable lesson. I felt like I'd already known that, but really doing it and acting it out in real life with real money and real consequences was definitely valuable for us. That's where we're gonna go ahead and end this video. Definitely tune into the next one because that's when things get really intense.
Yeah.
Yes, this is all real. I'm sorry. It was pretty crazy. So
yeah, keep on rolling. So go ahead and check out the next video. It'll be in the description box and then also in the next play card for you guys to go ahead and click here to start that video. If you want to go ahead and check out any of our other vlogs about the other things that we've been through, our past positive things that we felt like life was going really well, go ahead and check those out as well. And we'll see you guys in our next video.
See you guys.